Hey, fam.
Hello, hello.
What?
Oh, a minute.
Devon's jamming.
He's still locked in.
Are you kidding me? Come on now. That's real R&B right there, cut.
Y'all looking real
How you
swaggy today.
doing? I see you, Miles, with
Shit.
the plaid, the buttons. I see you, my boy. Janine, how you doing? The energy is crazy. DJ 4.0. Come on now.
Killing it.
Come
Killing
on. I
it.
think we need to start HBSC, a historically black startup culture. We need to make that a thing because this is right. This is the energy that we need every day. So thank you for having us.
Yes, good luck, guys. I know you're about to drop the gem, so I'll let you guys take it away.
All right, bless.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure. Hey everybody, how's everyone doing? Let's see some chat action, some highs,
What's
some
good?
hello.
What's good? I see
Some
HBSC. Somebody trademark that. Take it. Run it.
No, really good. I think we want to function in the way that we do with our founders is, it's really about a conversation. We're not going to be slamming pitch decks all over the place. We want y'all to tap in with us and really dive into, why we do this work, why we want to connect with you, and essentially our pitch to you on, why we think that our approach is what it is. I'm gonna do a quick starter because I think that.
Yeah, no, you don't like decks, but it's a good little visual. I mean, you worked on it. We worked on it. So
some visual context is always helpful.
But yeah, we are Devland Startup Studio. We have been, Miles and I have known each other for about 11, 12 years now. So you could say it started 12 years ago, but formally started 5 years ago. And it basically started because Miles was trying to prevent me from crashing as an entrepreneur. It was annoying at first because every time I had an idea, Miles would say, slow down, let's document this, let's structure it, let's build the wireframe. And that's how it started. 10 years ago, got married, 11 years ago, got married, and had an idea. Miles and I, when we met, we knew that we wanted to make more of an impact than those around us. So we met at coffee shops and we would spend 3-4 hours doing these iterative ideation sessions. Can we harness lightning? Maybe, but that's out of our financial scope. Let's move on. And then we got to a point where got married, came home, had to finish the invitation, thank you cards, realized that the technology didn't exist. It was very painstaking. Shared the idea with Miles. He slowed me down like I hated, but now I love. Built a framework around it. And, honestly, we were getting raised $50K for it outside, no pitch deck, no nothing, just telling stories. And I thought that we had failed when it didn't deploy and it wasn't being used. And I felt like a failure. And Miles was like, no, man, that's data. Let's take what we've learned and roll it into something else. And what I didn't realize was that is the startup studio model that we have. Miles, you can go to the next slide and kind of talk more. But changing the narrative of failing is not failing. It's just gaining more information to help you on the next step. So creating a system. When we realized that this can't be just my problem, it can't be his problem, this must be others. And we started to attract more and more of us to understanding how to build, why to build. And if we were a day, a year, an hour ahead of you, we want to make sure we can give as much information as possible so that you can kind of skip over that and, make some new mistakes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, part of it was we like many founders, we focused so much on capital in the early days as founders. And, I had the fortune of doing founderhood several times over with all the kind of safe fails and fail safes to count. But, one thing we vitally underestimated was, our network to capital, our network to the resources that it requires to build a company. And we kind of came out of corporate with this mindset that, like, bump corporate. We're done with corporate to get to the place where as soon as your company starts building, growing, and doing all the things,
brother, you got to corporatize. You got to get back on
you
that
have
track.
to be in the corporate, so you got to do it well. So
You got to
kind of
bring the middle
inside
fingers
the
back down.
environment, yeah, right. Inside the
Absolutely.
environment, it all comes back around. So I mean, this really this message was, you know, a clear learning we had about misinterpreted and underestimating the amount of time it takes to build the network to support a venture upward in motion, and was really influential in us creating Devland. You know, because we interpreted, you know, very quickly how many relationships we would have to forge, you know, how active we would have to be inside of the company we were trying to create. And in parallel, we saw so many folks that looked like us, that or were similar to us in either their persona and their approach to entrepreneurship, that needed the support that we needed. And so we kind of ended up in a parallel space where, you know, we had an aperture to co-build because, you know, I spent 7 years in product management. Devon was like the blitz hiring person and recruiting that could find the wicked talent wherever it resided. And so we brought that forward into a platform that we feel, you know, could really make an impact on not only kind of the narrative of this new wave of entrepreneurial faces, but also the market as a whole, as it opens into some categories, some industries that we haven't really touched in the past. So I
Yeah.
think the, go ahead.
I'll say, Miles, before you go another step, we really wanted to make sure that Devland was created as a system to not glorify the dollar, but to glorify the build.
Yeah.
I raised a lot of capital before I even knew I shouldn't have been able to. And when the capital came in, I thought that was the championship, and that was not. That was just a step. So we're really about builders and completely industry agnostic.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, man.
Yeah, and that's our litmus. That's how we evaluate a founder from day zero, whether you're in motion or, you know, or not. It doesn't matter. For us, it's like evaluating how you're thinking, how you're approaching what you're doing as builders, and whether you're honing the skills that we know yield true from past successes that we've had in industry. So, you know, we want you to view us in a more simple sense as a co-creation engine and an investment company, but broadly, we are chasing down futures in the industry 4.0 continuum of categories, where it's AI, ML, robotics, hardware. Like some of the things that we know from a market expansion standpoint are going to leave enough room and space for so many folks to win. And we want, you know, we want those spaces to be filled with folks that look like us, and folks that come from, you know, either geographically underrepresented, you know, areas, whether they're BIPOC or women, which we have a really critical focus on women-led companies. You know, it's very important to us that we take the sky. You know, we approach it in that way.
Yeah, and you know, part of that is also creating a culture of everyone that's watching this, everyone that will watch it, whatever idea you're working on, damn sure it wasn't your first idea, and damn sure not going to be your last. So
Yeah,
why don't we create a culture of rapid viability testing and research and white paper led projects, so that we can, you know, continue this cycle, because at some point it is going to hit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really about how many times have you navigated the try, and have you positioned that in front of folks that matter. I'm going to speed up a little bit, Devon, because I think that, you know, like I promised, you know, I'm not trying to be that crazy, but I'm going to just get straight to it. Like, as investors, you know, we really focus on opportunities that interface with enterprise. And we'll break it down why. You know, companies that are already capitalized, that already have stability, have cash flow that you can access. And especially as an early entrepreneur, it just makes clear sense that you tap into the cash flows they have to grow or investigate a new avenue versus, you know, canvassing a space that's, you know, typically, you know, more costly. You're spending more on acquiring your customer, and you're having to do the dance long form. And, you know, we say this because if you don't have an established network with funders, there's a clear opportunity here to pace into an opportunity where you can win and then build up to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. We think that every entrepreneur has at least three of them in them. Three opportunities in you, whether it's a pondering idea or something that you can capitalize on. So why not build up and fortify those skills? And the critical point here is, conducting business in a way where and are able to demonstrate your customers willing to pay you for value right now, which
you
is,
have no idea psychologically how much it means to make an actual dollar. So we really believe in, pushing P, man, push your way to that pilot. Customer acquisition is exhausting. It's a completely different job. It takes you away from, the solution that you have. So why not find one kind of node that has access to those customer base and service them, and then, gain your data from that. So, that's
so
what we do.
I mean, I'll cut it here because I want to flip during questions to bring in a few things back up. But it's really important that we identify how in business, there is the product and the service on the side you're interfacing with your customer, but there's also a product and service when you're interfacing with your investor as you're offering them, across several instruments, the opportunity to dig into this picture with you as equity buyers. So we really believe that you should be just as compelling to your investors as you are to your customers. And in most cases, the first litmus test of that is how compelling you are to your customers and your ability to articulate that. But I mean, in retrospect, it's not always the pitch person's identity, right? Some people just aren't really great at pitching. And a lot of our conversations with founders really revolve around kind of this opportunity to be conversational, dig into your background, your intellect, your experience, and have you express the opportunity in that way. Primarily because pitching is a tactic, it's a skill set that not all folks have, and it's not always the determinant of success for a company that we're investing in.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier to solve other people's problems, OPP, than yourselves first as a way in. So anyway, questions, Q&A.
Yeah, for sure. Let me put some bumpers around that for sure.
Y'all, we got questions for days. Just yo, I'm back. I'm just we have a ton of questions, so I'm very excited. So question number 1, what sets pitches apart in congested industries? So how can people set themselves apart? How can they stand out?
Yeah, I'll take this one, Devon. For us, is really interpreting the long-term capital life cycle of, how much money does it take over time to build something that can capture enough of the market? And are you currently focused around a business model that is able to demonstrate that? And in a very early way, like, are you focused on a business model that captures customers or captures revenue in a certain way that is clearly compelling? It makes sense. There's no sus. And there's not a lot to explain either. It's something that conceptually the person on the other side can get.
Right. For me, it's storytelling and fixation. Like, are you fixated on the problem? Einstein says the smartest person in the room is not the smartest person, but it's the person that thinks about the problem, who's willing to think about the problem longer than anyone else. And that really comes out if you're truly, I don't want to use the word obsessed, but fixated on that.
That's true.
So.
No, it's true, because when the going gets tough, are you the one who's going to keep going?
Right. Stay in the car. That's our motto, is stay in the car. You're going to stay in the car.
Stay in the car. I love it.
Man.
Question number 2, what are the biggest differences what's the differentiating factors of a venture studio and an accelerator? I noticed you all invest a lot more and take a larger percentage than most accelerators. That's a great question.
Great.
Yeah, for sure. We have a blended model. So when entrepreneur comes through our residency program, we are providing an immense amount of contribution to the formation and the development of that company, therefore supporting the equity that we're taking. And the primary difference is an accelerator, in most cases is expecting you, whether you're coming out of industry or you're a growth hacker at Facebook, or, you know, say you're coming out the hood and you were doing it as a small business person really well. There's an expectation in the accelerator that you're bringing something in. And from a studio standpoint, we just expect to bring a human in that has organic talent in some form or factor that can learn and grow. And, you know, there may not be a unicorn on your first play. You might have to shelf that first idea, but in the studio, you get to try and try again in ways that you're not typically able to do once you have publicly launched a company to the market.
Speaking of unicorns, there are not enough unicorns for us to care about.
Thank you.
So we really believe in that Master P. Pop your trunk and sell what you got out your trunk first, and then grow from there. So
that's why I love y'all. Y'all just keep it real. I keep it real. So question, I'm a new real estate developer. I have all the background needed, but not a lot of experience. Would investing in a new developer in real estate be a deal breaker?
A new developer.
I think what they're
it's a safe industry. Go ahead.
Okay. No, you go ahead.
I was going to say it's a safe industry. I mean, I'm in Texas right now, so you know, new or old, it's really, if you are new, it's really important to have an advisor. Make somebody with some clout, an advisor, treat them as such, you know, share thoughts and allow them to make input. But having an advisor or a board, or, you know, someone that doesn't have all the time to build with you, but they believe in you, that can go a long way.
Yeah, we don't specifically invest in that area, but, you know, I think a really clear response I have for that question is, are you a reflection of the relationships that will breed opportunity from what you're doing? And if you're not, it's time to hit the pavement and go, you know, click them contacts and connects on LinkedIn, hit the streets, maybe go to a few events and build up your contact list, because you need to be a reflection of the most de-risked person chasing that opportunity. So, you know, I think that, you know, that's the best way to posture yourself, whether you're new or you're old. It doesn't matter. There's no gains to being in the game longer. The approach to acquiring the market requires the same hustle.
Yes, hustle is life. Yeah. Would love to hear an example of any unique go-to-market strategies you guys have leveraged with any of the startups you support.
Oh, I mean, the pilot before the product is the most essential one. And enterprise, the advantage is if you come from a background where you've built services, solutions, software before, and you understand how to interpret your customers' needs. We have founders who have successfully launched companies without a product by posturing manual services first that clearly indicate an opportunity to be expanded using software or additional services. Like one of our most recent companies that are like growing high traction really fast, we're able to capture about 20 customers with a Google Sheets API, you know, setup. And so I would say, you know, don't make your life all about the tool. It's really about what you put forth and what value you put forth for your customer.
As we just got a message from one of our portfolio companies that they're about to launch tomorrow officially. Corporations, they have huge problems. They have no one to fill them because they're not designed to think outside the box, and they have budget for the help. So having a potential solution and having a relationship with whoever in the corporation saying, hey, do you have this problem? Absolutely. Well, if this solution did this, would it be something that you would test and try and pay for? 100%. Okay, well, that's what I'm working on. Okay, here's MOUs. They go a long way. LOIs, they go a long way. They go a long way for you as a founder and your confidence in what you're doing. It goes a long way for potential investors or stakeholders to see that, you know, there's interest, and it goes a long way to the potential customer client that you're serving.
Then I'll make it even more clear. If you can get to $5K a month on just a general starting relationship, that's $60K a year. I promise you, with software or other types of solutions, you can grow that to a really phenomenal business.
Software is not king. You are. You built it. It's your thought. It's your vision. Yeah, you are your own algorithm. So whatever service you're trying to scale to the world, do it yourself first.
Yes. I'm going to ask two questions in one. Does Devland invest in Web3, and do you guys invest in marketplaces?
We do invest in Web3 from an infrastructure side. We do not invest in marketplaces, but if there's a merchant fintech kind of infrastructural product that, you know, has enterprise capability, then we're interested in opportunities like that. But I think, you know, over time we've had to form a posture against you know, opportunities that are interfacing with consumers, because if we're putting capital forward, we want that capital being spent in a way that can convert cash in a really demonstrable way.
Right.
Other fun part of a studio model is, you know, we get to build too. So we're not going to tell you stuff that we're not going through right now or have gone through. You can see it in our eyes that, you know, we haven't gone through some shit. One of those things is, you know, having the ability to build using that rapid prototype model. And I've led a project. Thank you, Miles, for giving me the time, which is a incubator, blockchain incubator for projects and, you know, creating wealth in underserved communities. So
that's dope. So last two questions. One, do you guys work with solo founders?
We primarily work with solo founders, and it's because we believe if you want to be a chief executive of a company, you need to be able to demonstrate that you have stickiness in building a team, and that people want to work for you and people want to hustle for you, and they want to get on the ground every day because you're leading this thing forward and you have the right vision. And so typically it's hard for us to work with co-founder clusters that are not demonstrating traction. And so that's why we focus on individuals in a way that a research academic program would, because we think that starting with you, refining you, an opportunity allows us to open a much wider window.
No, it's facts. This is the last question, and I feel like it's important because a couple people have asked it in a different way. So when you're making these cold intros and like you're leading with value, right? You said, do you have this problem? Yes, I have this problem. Here's how I solve that problem. What suggestions do you guys have for those cold introductions outside of, you know, framing it in that way? What if I'm trying to meet with an investor to build that relationship? What would you say are some of your suggestions to be able to go and do that?
One of the recent ones is like, don't call yourself a founder. And like, people would be mad at me for years and days after this, but when you're interfacing your thinking and your brilliance and opportunity, go in as an expression of what you care about, like what you're excited about, what you've been tinkering with in the background, and drive the person on the other side to ask, like, have you started a company with this? Like, what's happening with this? Like, where's this going? It sounds like you got a lot going on. And that's your first way of finding the intrigue and engagement, you know, that you're seeing. I'm seeing some in the chat saying, I'm working on. It's really that, like, posing yourself as a researcher or somebody doing the work daily is more important than claiming being a CEO or a founder or anything like that. Because that's what it boils down to. Like, nobody's going to look at your LinkedIn, your pitch deck, and then rest back to this idea that, you know, they're not seeing traction. We got to see the traction. We got to see the work, that daily work, the Master P out the trunk. Like, people saw him out selling tapes. It was evident. There was no dispute that he was out in the streets. So like, we need to be able to see that clearly.
And we've been in the rooms with, you know, decks and, you know, buttons on our shirt and in our first phase, and then there's not much going on. Second phase, when we really stopped caring and realized that the person on the other side of the table, while they probably don't look like us, they're human beings, you know, where they're fathers too. They, you know, have had other experiences. Like my goal, Miles's goal, is to let them understand how intelligent and how experienced we are, speaking that, you know, capital market speak. My goal is to humanize them as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
Devon has unlocked the check without ever talking about what we're actually working on, which to me is that is the proof. Is like, the human connection is still there. If you can just demonstrate how active like, people can see how much your brain is working when you're talking about, you know, the music you love or like the food that you like. So, you know, bringing that power and that confidence forward is really where most folks kind of get splintered, because you'll pitch the deck and the confidence isn't there. You'll talk about something you love, and the
all
confidence
day. That energy, that same energy,
shining on you.
He is real.
It's attractive.
Right?
It's real. No, guys, this was I was like, mic drop. What's up? Like that was. You're right. So human connection, confidence. Guys, thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your human connection, for your confidence.
Man.
It was an absolute pleasure to see you guys as always. Next up, we are going to have Pilar Johnson, managing partner at Debut Capital. Stick around for like 10 seconds. We're going to be right back, guys.
DJ.
Said DJ was doing it. She did it. And she's doing it.